Have you ever doubted? Now enough nuclear weapons to destroy the entire world. Is he or not the ultimate weapon ever invented? At the same time, in the history of the Earth's abyss, Japan is a country. Was he the only one who suffered an atomic bomb? Country attacked. And if you are interested in the above questions, then please be sure to read what follows. Described content, because the ancient site I want to describe today, perhaps the archaeological data he provided, will refresh your perspective on the above questions. So today, we will go together. Moheng in Pakistan. Mohenjodaro, look at this place more than 2500 BC. The place of existence. Why on earth is he related to the present? On the topic of nuclear weapons that has only emerged in modern times, then the so-called Mohenjodaro, in the local Pakistani language, aka Autumn of the Dead. At the same time, this ancient ruins, also now found in the Indus Valley, the largest ancient civilization city. However, this ancient ruins, the main attraction is not the difficulty of construction, but that he has a refresh human pair. The unsolved mystery of the history of nuclear weapons. In 1922, Mohenjodaro was killed by Indian archaeologist Raj Banner. He discovered for the first time. Therefore, with the assistance of the governor, they used the TAM-14 method at that time to conduct an age test on the ancient city, and finally confirmed the ancient city, built over 2,500 years ago. That is, about 4,500 years ago. Simple to understand. It gradually grew in our country before the Shah dynasty. And this era, it's what we call the ancient times. He is better than the ancient Egyptian civilization of our books. And Meso, the Budamian civilization, was a little later. But the only constant is that he's in our country, and ancient civilizations in other countries. This was the era, the same, the era of coexistence between man and God. In addition to that, judging from years of archaeological scrolls, the Mohenjodaro, it is also known as a very prosperous city. It covers an area of 10 square kilometers. The main urban planning is divided into upper class and lower class. Let's introduce the best first. Through archaeological discoveries, around the uptown area, they found buildings like the city wall and the high ditch. At the same time, there are watchtowers above the city walls. So through the architectural style, this area of uptown at that time, it should be a free area for idlers, and such an inference. Soon, it was also confirmed in the buildings in the city. China is in the upper city, including a very delicate courtyard, as well as palaces and conference halls, etc. It is also rich in very strong religious festivals, sacrificial style. So, if we understand correctly, this upper city is like the Forbidden City in our country. He was the top leader and official of the city at that time, the area where the nobles live, and the most famous building. And there's nothing more beautiful than this bathtub that you see here. It was named after our descendants, Mohenjodaro baths, because of the bath. The area of the pool is over 1,000 square meters, fired brick fit complete. The focus is also on the bottom and wall sections. They are all made of modern gypsum materials. Caulking. And in the closing stage, it is covered with the familiar drain. Therefore, thousands of years ago, people have mastered this proximity. Modern anti-leakage technology, and around the bath, separate cubicles were also built. So these little rooms, most likely thousands of years ago, the original appearance of the shower room and changing room, then introduced the main buildings of the mall. The downtown facilities to be described next are relatively. It's a lot shabbier. So, according to the whole Moheng, look at Mohenjodaro's plan. Downtown at that time, most likely ordinary people, place of residence. Therefore, from now on, we humans will describe the various construction styles of the ancient city. At that time, the city was thousands of years old. It's already the beginning. Step has. Modern cities are characterized by consistent planning and construction, because in the following archaeological discoveries, archaeologists have discovered the house where the residents lived at that time, all with extremely modern construction techniques to build. The civilian housing here is mostly a two-story structure. Each has its own bathroom and kitchen. Even the left that only appeared in modern times. Side bathroom. The crux of the matter is also this Mohenjodaro. It already had the ring at that time, connected underground drainage system. And many residences have close proximity. Modern building style courtyard. So, what the author wants to express is, if this phase of construction paced modern exterior wall tiles, there's no question about it. This Mohenjodaro, it is the closest thing to a modern urban town. That is to say, this small town was built for 1,500 years ago. Perhaps you have already mastered a lot, the technology of modern construction techniques. And what's even more worth mentioning is, in the ancient one, archaeologists have also discovered a number of exquisite naughty, seal copper coins and bronze objects. It also includes over 2,000 episodes, ancient relics with writing. But unfortunately, these words until I wake up, our ancient writing experts have not yet read it. But it is also possible that some ancient scripts have been deciphered. Only in the next archaeological finds, they may just have something to say. Because during the subsequent archaeological excavations, archaeologists are here in Moheng, inside the ancient city of Zodaro. Many human skeletons were discovered. And here's the weirdest thing about it. Judging from the placement of these skeletons, it doesn't look like the flat-lying position of a burial. According to archaeologists, when these skeletons were discovered, some skeletons take on a walking posture. Some work from home. That is to say, judging from the posture of these skeletons, they may have been attacked by a powerful force, resulting in instantaneous loss of life. At the same time, according to more in-depth research, this city was originally, probably lives about 50,000 missions, but almost all of them met in the same way in an instant. Difficult. That is, if you describe it from another angle. This bustling town was reduced to ruins an instant later, and let our descendants, on reflection, the frightening evidences, through experimental forensics of these human skeletons, the radiation index of these skeletons, actually with last century Japan Hiroshima and long core, and the victims have the same level of nuclear radiation. And not only that, by doing so, we can overturn our understanding of nuclear weapons. Scientists, I really found it in the city at that time, the traces left by the bombing. Therefore, in these traces, scientists speculate that within 1 kilometer of the center of the explosion, all the buildings at that time, almost all of them are instantly fried into powder. Its destruction trajectory, it is also the same as Hiroshima, and long term at that time, the energy gradually decreases from near to far. So from almost identical explosion trajectories, make a judgment, the farthest building in the city was preserved. Also more, an important clue to confirm this conjecture. However, the extrapolation above the light hall and the nuclear radiation content to prove there were atomic bombs on the planet for 1,500 years ago. That's clearly not enough, but the magic of this place is the magic. It's been thousands of years, but still from the ground here. However, there are still shock waves and large traces of nuclear radiation. Like what? In the discovery of the ruins by scientists, here is the same as Hiroshima and long. There was a lot of burnt clay, and after the explosion, unique mineral fragments. However, further research revealed that the burning temperature at that time was actually, it's 15,000 degrees. So, the temperature is so high, obviously it is impossible to be. This civilization was born. Also put aside this assumption that underestimates the abilities of the ancients. This high temperature, even less likely, produced in natural conditions, then there will definitely be a little friend who will say, you can't make an asteroid hit in this situation. Was it caused by the strike? What about this skepticism? In fact, it was also proposed a long time ago. but in recent years, human impact on asteroids and in the study of nuclear experimental explosions. In fact, despite the explosive scale of both of them, are very similar, but the chemistry produced after the actual explosion of the two reactions are to different things. For example, although the death, rock collisions can generate tremendous impact, but in the case of the same volume, meteorite hits the ground, it's much less powerful than a nuclear explosion. At the same time, the moment the meteorite hits the ground, it does produce some radiation, but usually this radiation is limited, and the nuclear radiation produced by the nuclear explosion, there is a big difference. Because nuclear explosions release vast amounts of radioactive material, generate intense nuclear radiation. But for existing craters, they're not going to explode like a nuclear bomb. There is a persistent nuclear radiation environment, because at the end of the day, naturally formed meteorites themselves are usually not radioactive material. A nuclear explosion is caused by a nuclear reaction, like nucleation, a man-made change or fission. Huge release of energy. Therefore, the harm of nuclear explosions to life on Earth, it takes even longer. Like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which are now almost 80 years old, some areas are still nuclear, high-risk areas for radiation. In contrast, many of the craters that exist on Earth today, in comparison to this, radiation cycles are fairly short. So, compared to a nuclear explosion, the nuclear radiation hazard caused by meteorite impact almost negligible, and from start to finish. In this Moheng, within a 100-mile radius of the ancient city of Sodaro, no trace of being hit by a meteorite has been found. So, this led to the ancient city. There are other unsolved mysteries. That raises a lot of doubts. Evidence of ancient nuclear explosions. But the only constant is that we are now. Generations of humans are still unsure of such inferences. That can find a little support. Is this speculation? Don't say it. There is. Like she in India who lived in Mohenjodaro. It describes scenes about ancient nuclear wars. The book says, the Great at Wotton. A missile-like weapon was fired. And then the wind blows, earth shaking, mountain shaking. Even rivers that are visible to the naked eye are boiling. As a result, all the fish and shrimp were scalded to death by the high temperature, and the enemy was also shocked by the sudden high temperature, burnt like a tree trunk. Then Gaul, card again to the enemy's 3 cities, launched a similar missile. These missiles possessed the power of the universe, as dazzling as countless suns. Then people here will lose a lot of hair, including the nails, which are also dark black and fall off in one piece. In addition, non-toxic lotus root. In India, another Benshi lived in Rama rock. It also has the above description in it. The description says, it's a weapon that nobody knows about. It could reduce an entire city to ashes. Even if the little tree people and animals survive, but they can also die from food poisoning. And eventually all hair and nails will fall out. According to the above to most famous books in India, epic drama inside, we can all seem to see the description of nuclear explosions at that time, except for India. In fact, more and more in the Bible, there is also a similar description of ancient nuclear war. The description says sulfur and fire fall from the sky, turn into a plane. All the inhabitants and plants were destroyed. The place was still thick with smoke after several days. It's like a kill. The animals that have emerged in this area since then, they all look very strange, and mobility is limited. After saying that, there is something about ancient times. The legend of nuclear war describes. In recent years, archaeologists also, in the ruins of the ancient city, discovered similarities with modern nuclear explosions, because on the surface of the ruined city walls, there's a lot of it crystallized. That is to say, the surface of the city wall is actually like glass, smooth same substance. And not only that, the copper multiplier also includes stony furniture. The surfaces of the furniture are likewise vitrified. Then these glass substances were found in the ruins. What does that mean? And it's very simple. Because these glass substances are also, it will appear in today's Hishi Yongchang, then the reason why this glass stone substance appears. The main reason is that the sand is melted by high temperature. It cools down very quickly, will be formed. So, this is a very special glass-like substance, and the conditions under which it forms are also very harsh. It happens in an instant. It will only form at a high temperature of tens of thousands of degrees. For example, the current ultimate human weapon and explosion. Such glass crystals are in the core. There's a lot of proving ground, in addition to forming his second condition, that includes the asteroid impact. The moment the meteorite made contact with the ground, it also generates high temperatures that melt sand and gravel. So, as the molten sand cools down, glass crystals like this are formed. And about these glass crystals, in fact, on Earth, there's one unexplained mystery. Because at the junction of Egypt and Libya, it was a long time ago, probably 1932, the desert here once was the scientific expedition team discovered a large amount of glass, spar. But here's the weird thing, no one knows how this glass was formed. Because there are no volcanoes in this area. So, in the absence of natural high temperature, how does this sand become glass crystals? Also, there is no current position found here, traces of being hit by meteorites. So, the second possibility was quickly ruled out. And here's the question that sends shivers down our backs the most. Since the above two are naturally formed, the high temperature conditions left no evidence, then this must be man-made and a testing ground. But that's where the weirdness is. First of all, this desert area is not a suitable testing ground. Also in 1932, humans have not yet mastered the technology of nuclear explosions. Because humans, first nuclear explosion, the test was successful on July 16, 1945. So, the glass in this area, in what way was it formed? It's still a problem of the century. So, after that, that's where we have the Libyan desert. The unique name of glass, sure, if according to the content described above, it's all very well explained. Because 1945, we humans have just mastered this technology. They didn't invent nuclear weapons. Well, that description remains to be seen. But there is something about the success of humanity's first nuclear test. You might not have thought of it. Oppenheimer, the head of the entire Manhattan Project. It will be in Roach once, in the speech at the University of Sturt, make such an amazing answer. Because in this speech, he was asked, the nuclear experiment was a success. Was it the first successful human nuclear experiment? But then, and Oppenheimer has this amazing response. This was indeed the first success of modern mankind. So, you think, how should his answer be understood? It was before 1932. They have mastered such a technology. It was thousands of years ago. It's been used by people all over the planet. The ultimate weapon? So, the video ends. Thank you for watching, my friends. And if you are interested in the content of this issue, you can also enter the comment area. Share more of your unique thoughts on this topic. It's not easy to make in the end. You might as well give a little love to reward the author. See you next time.